But we do have breaking news out of Washington, D.C., and we want to update you on this. The U.S. Coast Guard was conducting a training exercise in the Potomac River this morning. That training exercise going on moments before the president and his motorcade crossed a nearby bridge. It caused some concern and apparently a tremendous amount of confusion, but the Coast Guard is confirming that no shots were fired as part of this training exercise. It was simply a training exercise, and you're looking at live pictures there of a Coast Guard boat there on the Potomac River. The president, of course, was traveling through Washington this morning. He was on his way to the Pentagon, where he spoke and took place in the wreath-laying ceremony at the Pentagon Memorial. But again, the Coast Guard and police in D.C. confirming that this was, in fact, a training exercise. Pete Williams joins us now from Washington with more. Pete, I also understand that departures from Reagan National were halted shortly after 10 a.m. as a precaution. Did no one know about this?
Well, this was even less than what you would think of as a conventional training exercise. Now, you're looking at one of the Coast Guard fast patrol boats that are out on the river that are here in the area every day. And you would not have seen anything had you been there watching these boats. They were not even doing a training exercise in the sense of doing anything on the water. What we're told happened here is that there was a radio call. A normal exercise involving the radio traffic, the people who man the radios, a radio call indicating that shots were fired. Apparently, this was just an exercise to challenge response times. Apparently, according to a very senior Coast Guard official, a citizen overheard this radio transmission and passed that word to some news organizations who reported this morning that shots were fired. I just want to emphasize, not only were no shots fired, the exercise didn't involve anything on the water preparing to fire shots. There was no kind of offensive action taken.
And so the initial reports as well of a suspicious vessel being out there, there is no vessel.
Correct. That was part of the radio call. Now, I think that some questions are already being asked about the timing of the radio exercise, given A, the date, September 11th, and B, the fact that the president was driving over the river on a bridge to go to the Pentagon services. That is a separate question. And, having just been through the experience with Air Force One, flying low over New York, that memory is still fairly fresh here in Washington as well as in New York. I'm sure some questions will be asked about the timing of the radio exercise. But what happened here is some information getting out and being reported without being confirmed, which has alarmed folks here. But I just want to emphasize, no shots were fired. There was no suspicious vessel. This was strictly a radio exercise, according to senior Coast Guard and law enforcement officials. And so there has been no crisis here.
And Pete, as we're looking at this live picture of that Coast Guard boat there on the Potomac, is this a boat that would ordinarily be out there? Is security heightened at all because it is September 11th?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think that these Coast Guard fast patrol boats are out there all the time. My guess is, and I don't know this for certain, my guess is that their presence in this part of the river may have been a little higher today simply because the president was moving across the bridge. And by the way, if there was a hold on traffic at National Airport, that could have been the reason, the president's movement. These things may all be unrelated, but yes, fast patrol boats like the ones you're looking at here are on the Potomac River every day. This is part of the post-9/11 security environment that we're in. Their patrols are stepped up much more. And for example, around the time of the presidential inauguration, the Coast Guard presence on the river was heightened in a very big way. The sort of security zone was pushed way out, almost toward the Chesapeake Bay, much higher than you'd normally see on the river. Now the camera is panning back and forth. You see Washington, D.C. in the background here. This is a camera apparently on the Virginia side of the river, looking back toward the district. And those fast patrol boats are here all the time. But there was no suspicious boat. There were no shots fired.
And Pete, again, this brings us back to the timing, as you mentioned earlier. I suppose.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize one other thing. our little headline there that says they conduct a training exercise on the river, I think even that may be a little misleading. The training exercise was entirely in the air. It was in the ether. It was a radio exercise, I'm told. So I don't know that they were. There may have been some river activity that went along with it. I think that's something we have to look into. I don't know that for a fact.
Yes.
I just know that that this was. That there was, I'm told that you would not have seen anything if you were looking at the boats at the time.
All right. NBC's Pete Williams. Thank you so much for clarifying, Pete. We appreciate it.